the reports of this meeting. Mickey, would you please, no.
Speech evaluation.
We have another speech.
Speech evaluation.
The speech evaluation is by Pete Fordham, and Pete told me I'm a caregiver, so my mornings start early. Pete, would you give the evaluation for Brendan's speech?
Thank you, Mary Alice. Ekow, what was the time?
For
Brendan?
Brendan was 5 to 7 minutes, and he used 7:20 seconds.
Okay. Brendan, I thought you did a terrific job. You were a role model for me, and one of the reasons is that you talk about things that other people don't, and that has encouraged me to talk about my daughter in the way that I do. So I just want to say thank you for everything you do, because you really are a role model for me. One person you didn't mention, in terms of someone that had autism or Asperger's, does anyone here watch America's Got Talent? I watch no reality TV, but I watch one show.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Anyone watch that last night? Okay. Cody Lee was the winner. He's a blind person with autism, and he's the most effervescent person you ever met in your life. And if you don't know who he is, you should look him up on YouTube, because he's amazing. He's a singer and a piano player, and for him to win was, the first time I saw him, I said, he's got to win. He was amazing. So if you don't know who Cody Lee is, go look. Yeah. So in terms of your objectives, Brendan, I thought you had a very clear purpose and a relevant topic. I think Asperger's and autism is relevant for all of us. I think almost all of us know someone or have a family member who has Asperger's or autism. I liked your introduction. You started off talking about being night person and falling asleep to the overload of information, but also you talked about common behaviors and compared autism and Asperger's. I think a lot of people didn't know. I did, but a lot of people don't know the difference between autism and Asperger's, and I think that was really important to clarify that. I really like that as an introduction. You also wanted to talk informatively and positively in terms of communication. I didn't know Abraham Lincoln was someone that might have had Asperger's or Albert Einstein's. I think you raised issues that a lot of us didn't know, and I thought that was very informative, and also the topic of having trouble communicating one-to-one. So, and linking back to Rain Man and that sort of thing, I thought that was really terrific. Those things at least I didn't know, and as I looked around, I was seeing people nod their heads and look where they didn't know those things either. In terms of transitions and delivery, I found it smooth. I didn't notice any rough edges. I really liked the fact that you went right in front of the podium, and you held your notes in your hand, but you never used them. You never looked at them, so that was great. So one of our goals for all of us is not to use our notes, and you did not. You had them, but you didn't use your notes, and I thought that was terrific. The conclusion, which talked about wanting to improve your one-to-one communication skills, I think that's a terrific goal. And from a standpoint of an objective of a speech and what you're trying to do, I thought it was terrific. And overall, I just really enjoyed it a lot, learned a lot, and I think we all really benefited from it. So just want to say thank you. Great job. One other thing before you clap. The only two things I would suggest is if there were more people with Asperger's and autism, I would suggest, I would have liked to learn more. And I also might have led with Abraham Lincoln and Albert Einstein. So I'm getting the stop now signs also.
Thank you. Aline will give the speech evaluation for Robert's speech.
was involved and lead with you.
Hi, so
Thank you, and
I'm going to be unusual because usually I have trouble saying any things that I want to improve, but you said you wanted criticism. You know, you're a great speaker, and you use your voice really, really well. I'm going to talk about, so it's 3 vignettes, right? So I will tell you one by one what I think. I thought the reception you got was very good. I can tell that you're not feeling it. You know, I can tell from your posture that you're not feeling it. I don't know what you can do about that. You know, do whatever you have to do, but it's not going to stop you from being a storyteller, right? It's a pain, so I'm sorry. That hurt, looks like it hurts. But anyway, no one would care about that because it's all in your voice and your presentation. So the first one I really liked because you used your voice a lot and your voice was very strong throughout. So you had this critical voice and the other voice was critical, and that was very cute and it was very entertaining. And I hope I don't get these 3 confused. I thought the story about you waiting for the feedback was very funny and making your wife eat crackers for all night. You could pause a little more because the punchline is very funny. And so I think you could tweak the timing a little. So you could have, you know, several seconds before you give the punchline. Because the thing about you making her wait was very funny, and it would be much funnier if you said pause, and then the next day I found out when I made it. So that was that one. The second story was the 10-year-old boys. I think that was my least favorite story of the 3, and partly your voice dropped, partly it wasn't as much fun because the kids were quiet. And so when you tell the story and they say nothing, and your voice dropped, it was kind of a quieter story. So it just wasn't as interesting as either of the other 2. And the Can't Make a Ruckus thing was a very cute story. I think I liked your voice the most in the first one. And I don't know whether you started to get tired, but your voice really started to drop because you could have sounded a lot brattier when you were being your adult self. I mean, your kid self. And I think it would be funny. And then if you're going to group 3 stories, you're very good at imitating other people. I thought if you did 3 stories, it might be more interesting if the middle story were actually a story. I've heard you do stories before, and sometimes you do stories about other people and imitations. And I thought rather than have 3 stories that are all about you, it might be fun for the middle story to be an imitation, you know, to include a voice with an imitation of someone else's world. But it was enjoyable, and thank you for presenting it to us.
Thank you, Aline. Next, we'll have the grammarian report by Nikki. Did I miss something? Grammarian report, I think, is from your seat. Nikki Kazan.
Okay. Don't count my R's. Mary Alice, you had a couple of R's and an Chris, your joke was great, and you had a so in it. Johnny, you had several R's and an Aline, you had an and a so. And Dale, you had several R's, and the rest, it was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
The word of the day.
Oh, yes.
Someone, one or two, one person, 2 persons, 3 persons said the word of the day, and great.
Good, thank you. Now, we have the timer report. Ekow, from your seat, would you give the timer report, please? Oh, and first, Ekow told me about mornings. I consider myself a morning person because I do the thinking and planning aspect of all activities for the day in the morning. And that's the most important part of my day. Ekow?
I was feeling very effervescent until I realized that my name wasn't printed next to the MR reports. I used effervescent 4. With the reports on the usage of time, everybody was within the limits. We started with Mary Alice. You utilized the whole 3 minutes maximum. Row left 10 seconds. Nikki did 1 minute, 4 seconds out of the 3 minutes. Chris did 1 minute, 53 seconds out of the 3 minutes. Pierre Ash did 45 seconds out of the 1 minute.
I think that would be important.
That's Pierre Ash.
Oh.
Yeah, Peter Gordon comes.
Oh, sorry.
Brandon exceeded the 7 minutes. Yeah, so you exceeded 20 seconds. Table topics, Johnny went a little overboard, but everybody else was Yes, I think, yeah, everybody was okay aside just a few minutes that went overboard. Thank you.
Julie Stevenson is our